Yes, ma'am, we received, ma'am. But every end of session, every end of slide, can you please say next?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you
A
so
very
much, ma'am.
pleasant, yes, ma'am. A very pleasant evening to everybody, those who are present on this online platform. I'm very much happy to meet you after so many days of participants from various places. And thank you, Miss Mrs. Rekha ma'am, for your sweet introductory. Thank you very much. And I'm just directly enter into the topic of today is importance of epics in Indian literature. I hope so everybody is very much aware of what is meant by Indian literature first. Before that, let me know what is mean by an epic. Everybody is having so many ideas which related to the epics. When I just pronounce this particular word called epic, we have to know that what is the point which we are going to be discussed today. Absolutely, it is only two epics which comes under our mind, especially for Mahabharata and Ramayana. It is not at all just a story. Why still we are influenced till this 21st century itself? That is the influence as well as the importance why we are looking forward for the epics for each and every moment of our life. There is a term in literary terms that is called carpe diem, which means live the moment. So likewise, we are also living the moment along with the help of the epic and its influence, the characters, as well as the situations which is discussed among several years ago. So let me start with what is meant by literature first. We are all very much aware of that. Literature is nothing but it is the reflection of the mirror. It is the day-to-day life, trials of our life. All these introductory part which we may read it in our history of English literature book, which was written by so many writers like Routledge as well as W.H. Hudson and Edward Albert and so many writers. For me, literature is nothing but it is the oral tradition in the beginning. Later, it has to be comes in the form of writing. After that, it goes by as a translation and a transcription, and now it seems to be as an adaptation. Hope you understand the difference between oral tradition, written, and then influences. After that, we come into part of adaptations. So oral tradition as per the part of history of English literature, Routledge's history of English literature, it talks about the oral tradition. Every literature begins with the oral tradition, whether it may be the Tamil or English literature, any sort of Idihasa or Purana, we call it as, it begins with as an oral tradition. Ma'am, next slide, please. Yes, defining Indian epics. How can we define this epics? Can a single line define the word called epic? Any answers from the audience side? How can we define this epic? Fine. There is a difference between Idihasa and Purana. In that difference only we can able to differentiate as well as the yes, epics is a long story. One answer I have received. Thank you so much. Poetic story. Thank you for your responses. I have taken this reference, the difference between Idihasa and Purana from Devadat Patnaik, a recent living writer. He is more influenced by the mythological things and he has given some difference as well as definitions between Idihasa and Purana. As per his definition, Idihasa, someone who has witnessed the incident like Vyasa in Mahabharata and Valmiki for Ramayana. And Purana, as we have discussed, that is the oral folklore. So this thing has been, I have taken the reference by Devadat Patnaik. If anybody is aware of the writer called Devadat Patnaik, please go through that. He has given more definitions, differences and character sketches for each and every character who lived in that Ramayana as well as the Mahabharata. Yes, and the next one is moral and philosophical teachings are represented here. Of course, every literature as well as every part of being has to live their life as a moralistic as well as by philosophical teachings. Each and every deeds of our daily life as well as the trials, it begins with as well as it begins with the moral as well as the philosophical teachings. Say for an example, if we wanted to interact with the students, we just give something at the end of the session of the class, we just give them some advice or message to them. What is the uh, purpose to be here inside the class? That comes under the moral, whether we are aware of it or not, but we have to give some sort of the moral teaching to the students every day of our life. Third one, influence on Indian culture and the society, which is discussed here. Everybody is aware of that. Indian culture is having a rich heritage. It has to be followed so many things. Each and everything, what are all the things we have to follow for any side of the religious rituals or else related to the pujas which is performed our everyday. It is everything is behind with the culture as well as it is the reflection of the society. How the society has been influenced through the lens of the culture. Of course, we are all the dependable character which we have to depend upon the society. What are all the things we are doing every day? It has to be reflect our own culture as well as the society, which means the environment which we are living in it. And the fourth one is universal theme. Of course, without these things, we are not aware of what is meant by all these things. We never know who or why we are getting that particular name called Drona Award, Arjuna Award still, because it is 21st century. Even Parasuram is the guru to Drona, but nobody is not awarding Parasuram Award for the excellence of teaching, but they are getting that Drona Award. Even comparing with Arjuna, for one side is Ekalaiva, another side of Karna, Arjuna is nothing, but still the excellency for Arjuna Award is received by some of the best artists or best players of the society. So still, there is a reason behind it. We need to look forward for the reason why these many characters are portrayed at present even in the 20th century. That is the universal theme which we are going to be dealt with. And the fifth point is about society and the customs. How we people are binding together with the society as well as these type of the traditions as well as the customs which was taught by our own family members, ancestors, and we are influenced by the environment. The final part is about the conclusion which is going to be deal with what are all the writers is dealing with all these epics with a special characterization as well as how those names itself is the influence of the writers to complete their work of art. So this is the table of content which I just wanted to explain in today's session. Madam, next slide please. Yes, here there is a definition. One point is about Ramayana, the cover page, even that Mahabharata, the cover page. The cover page is representing the entire story of the epic. So we are all aware of that these two epics, even the story of it. Rama, who stands for his righteousness, and here Mahabharata, it has to be stands for his to establishment of dharma. So it has a few contradictory as well as similarity within themselves. So what maybe is Indian epics or it is a long narrative poem. Already this definition I have received it from audience side. So this is about the last line. It explores the themes of dharma, righteousness, love, sacrifice, and human nature. These are all the things which are binding together to lead the society as well as for the culture. So this is what we have mentioned that the fifth point, the table of content is society as well as the customs. Ma'am, next slide please. Yes, moral and philosophical teachings. I do not know what are all the moral and philosophical teachings we have to give every day of our life to the students community whenever we are addressing inside the classroom of 1 hour or 45 minutes of the time or else 2 hours of the time. At least we have to give them the space to do something as well as to express something. Then only we can able to understand and we can give some sort of their moralistic message towards to their ideas. Here it talks about the main focus of the duty as well as the righteousness. And yes, of course, everybody is having the duty to control over everything. Similarly, we have some sort of the complexity to explore our duty as well as the philosophical teachings inside the classroom as well as the environment which we belong to. For all these things, how these epics has been help us to come out and how the characters are handled the situation. That is the thing which we need to approach the epic to learn for what is meant by moral as well as the philosophical thing. As I have mentioned, the culture and the tradition is influenced by this epics. So, as of my part of it, we are celebrating so many festivals for that, like Diwali, Dasara, Janmashtami, Ramanavami, all these things which comes under our own epics only. Even the name of the festival itself, we have to get it from the epic. Without that, we cannot name it the ceremony as what we wanted. And there are so many examples to praising or else to cursing this moral as well as the philosophical teachings. For example, teaching an epic is not just an easy task to the young community. Sometimes people who is beyond the area, they have to sit and read that Bhagavad Gita. They doesn't know the meaning of it. Even nowadays itself, even it has so many translations, even it has so many influences. But the thing is, we are failed to understand the behind the moral as well as the philosophical teachings which was done by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. Now we are receiving it through their writing forms as well as the audio format. Madam, next. Yes, what may be the key lessons we have to learn from all these epics? The only thing is karma. The importance of one's actions, which has to be back. If we are sacrificing, if you are having the natural sacrificing quality, means automatically you will get the good things. And many characters here also demonstrate value of sacrificing personal desires for the greater good. That is a good example for this. For sacrificing something, everybody is aware of that the character called Kunti in Mahabharata. She is having that selflessness sacrifice in her entire life. She doesn't have any sort of the personal desire to save anything as well as to enjoy her own life. From the beginning itself, she has to sacrifice everything and she has to hide the birth of karma. That is something different part. But the entire epic of Mahabharata, she is having the quality of sacrificing, especially for the 5 of her sons. And sometimes she has to lend her house to the words of Pidamaha Bhishma. So all these things, what is the last point? Still we are talking about Kunti but not Gandhari. So that is the sacrifice that has to be stands on still this 21st century. So that is the name which has to be stand here. Madam, next slide please. Next slide, please, madam. Yes, influence on Indian culture and society. Classical dances like Kathakali and Bharatanatyam are based on, already I have mentioned everything, we have to get it from only these idihasas as well as this oral folklore of Purana. So for this, it is deeply influenced. If I pronounce a writer in English literature, she is much more influenced by this Kathakali. Even this particular background has been taken in Kerala also. The writer is Anita Nair. She has written the novel called Mistress. In that, she has to carefully chosen her the character's name, especially for the heroine name called Radha. She has married with the man called Mohan. Again, it is the another name of Lord Krishna, Manmohana. So he has to be present as Mohan, but she is having an affair with the Chris. Actually, his full name is Christopher. He came from some other country to learn the Kathakali, but he has to shorten his name as Krish. Automatically, Radha is having the crush with the Krish. So this plot is knitting that indirectly this Anita Nair has to stress that influence of Indian epics is always there, because she has to connect the three notes within the single point. One is about the Kathakali, another one is the character's name. So this stands for the influence for epics till this 21st century. And not only for the dances, even the art. So many places we have seen that paintings as well as the picture art for influencing something. So even we have to go for some other holy places, we need to buy some sort of the god or goddesses pictures to place it in our puja room. So furthermore, all the festivals already I have mentioned here, it is all taken from the narratives of Ramayana as well as the Mahabharata. Madam, next slide please. Yes, this I have mentioned. For additionally, I need to add one more point. This influences are nowadays is expansion in the name of adaptations. For this adaptations, I just wanted to tell you few movies as well as the serial names here. I do not know how many of them are aware of this. If not, kindly go through with the selection of the character names as well as the projection of the characters. First, I need to go for with the movie adaptations for Tamil movie called Karnan, which was enacted by Dhanush. The name of the hero is Karnan, which is Dhanush, and his fellow friend name is Duryodhan, and that inspector name called Kanabiran. So actual Mahabharata has to be in a form of Karna is a very good friend of Duryodhan, and Duryodhan is very much fond of Karna. And here it is Kannabiran, the character has been negatively projected in the movies. Yes, of course, we need some sort of the commercial entertainment, so that we need to have some sort of the changes to the characters. We cannot able to exactly copy it from what it was done. So it has have some sort of the influences to understand the character. The next movie is about the recent release of Kalki, which talks about the 10th avatar of Lord Krishna and how the Kali Yuga is going to be with the help of the science as well as the technology. And one more, the biggest influence in the adaptations is the previous, even in the year of 2000 or 2010, it seems there is a movie called Jodha Akbar, which was enacted by Aishwarya Rai. In that case, I'm not talking about the religious aspect, I'm just talking about only that the importance of the character which played an important role in during her struggle. She has to have the condition that to marry a Mughal emperor Akbar, she wanted to demolish a few temple inside that Mughalaya emperors, so that he has to give on the permission. Okay, fine. You have to have the rights to build your own temple inside it, and she has to choose the Lord as Krishna, her beloved one. Whatever happens, she has to go with that. So even the song itself, the particular line has been decided that whenever I come across any sort of the hurdles or struggle, please come and save me because you are the only savior to me. So all these things which is related to, we have the good influence of any characters which what we have read as well as seen. So picturization has played a most important role for this particular 21st century because we most of them have stopped to reading the readable materials like books as well as the Kindle version of any sort of the textbooks. But we have given more importance to looking at what we are in the picturized form. So we don't want to fall in for some false information or else false images of that. Actually, we need to have the reading habit of not only for only one book or as well as it's related to the characters, but we have to have so many references as well as to compare and to contrast these characters. Why I'm telling this comparison? Because Jodha Akbar, Aishwarya Rai has to be projected Krishna as the only savior for her. Like Draupadi has to be humiliated in the court of Dhritarashtra, she has to believe that Lord Krishna is the only one savior who is going to be save her. Like the same comparison it is done by Jodha in the Jodha Akbar, but in the recent adaptation of the movie of Karna, the inspector named Kannabiran, it has to be give some various ideas related to this particular character. So we believe that we have to take it as a moralistic way as well as the positive way. And some serials, yes, in Vijay TV we are reading that, we are looking at the Mahabharata episodes as well as in Sun TV they are projecting the Ramayana. As all these things which is having so many of translations work because it is not at all has been written as well as read only in English or Tamil, but it has to be written in some other languages like Sanskrit, Hindi. Later on, it has to be translated in all the languages and all the regions. And now it is very, very easy to understand from our own mother tongue what was happened during the period of the several years ago. Madam, next slide, please. Yes, literary influences. I do not know how many people are, especially for English literature people, having very much fond of reading this novels and poetry and all other things. I'm very much I'm very much interested to read the writings of any writers, especially for women. And later on, I am very much influenced by Devadatta Patnaik. And even though some equal writers who was writing the same thing, I just wanted to tell you few of the writers who is influenced this literary characters in the background, and they have to complete their literary work of art. First one, Sashi Deshpande, the famous Indian English writer, she has to be identified as the novel called That Long Silence. It is very famous one. It talks about the feminism, but I'm not going into it. But I just wanted to connect this literary influence from the epics. She has to be used that the character called Jaya, who is struggling her life. She is very passive woman, but she is having the talent, but she is not able to come out after her wedding. Even her name has been changed after her wedding. Actually, her name is Jaya. After that particular name has been chosen by her father very carefully because the name indicates victory. Jaya's father always wants that Jaya has to be a victorious lady throughout her life. But suddenly, after her marriage, her name has been changed as Suhashini. So Suhashini doesn't have any sort of the influence in literary career as well as in the family also. She was very struggled to overcome all these things. Finally, the time of that maybe the end of her life, she decided that she has to start reading her father's diary. In that case, very opening page, he has to return that. Very beginning, he has to state that do as you desire. There is a long ceremony which is given by Lord Krishna to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita Upadesh. So in that case, the father has to be written Yada Yada Shiti Tapuru. So do as you desire. So in that particular line has influenced Jaya to come out her nutshell and started her new journey as a writer, and finally she is having her own identity. So for this, Shashi Deshpande is influenced by the epics, especially for the Lord Krishna's ceremony. That particular word, do as you desire. So that is one of the influence in English literature. And the second writer, the same, Manju Kapoor, she has to begin with that Manju Kapoor's The Binding Wine. There is a reference in Buddha's desire causes you know how to finish it. Desire is the only thing which causes everything, so that it is also another influence from the epics. And the third writer, Anita Nair, already I have informed you about that Kathakali as well as the name which has been chosen for her characters. And the fourth writer, Shobha Day. She is also the very familiar Indian writer, and she has to be compare all her women characters with the divine quality, goddesses. She has to mention that every woman character is a Durga, every woman character is the Kali, every woman character is the avatar of any sort of the goddesses. Everybody is having the power of to destroy everything. So this is the guts she has to be taken from the epic called Mahabharata, especially in the court scene of Draupadi's bravery attitude. And the next writer, Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, directly she has written about the Palace of Illusions. In that case, she has to be talked about that Draupadi's bravery. Everybody, you just look at that, especially only one particular episode of Mahabharata, you may come out from your nutshell that Draupadi is the first feminist in our Indian literature. Even we are nowadays be talking about that feminism, even the fourth wave, first wave, second wave, third and fourth, even 5, 6 may come in the future. But in that case, she is the only one first woman character who raised her voice throughout entire that injustice code. Even so many learned colleagues are there. You people are very much aware of who were all in that injustice code. Even Pitamaha Bhishma, Guru Drona, all the 5 Pandavas, Kauravas, and everybody. Nobody has not raised any questions as well as not even opened their mouth, it seems. Even you just look at that one particular episode which shows her bravery as well as the anger towards to the society, that she is not able to open up. She has to mention that the mother-in-law's name in the court. I do not know how many people has to be called their mother-in-law's name at home. But she has to open their mouth when Kunti as well as Gandhari has arrived after the disrobing of her sari. She just stop it. What is the word she has to influence it? Please stop Rajamada Kunti there. Don't come inside it. And because this particular place is going to be downfall because of my curse at very next moment. So better to stay there. So this is the dialogue or statement which was done by Draupadi in that particular court after the disrobing as well as saved by Lord Krishna. So she has the rights as well as the guts to raise her voice against all the male dominated society to mention the name of Rajmata Kunti, her beloved mother-in-law. Even she has to mention all the characters' names in the court. Yes, please, Pitamaha Bhishma, please open your mouth. Guru Drona, please open your mouth. Please answer my question. Where you have learned all these things? So all these things have this influences by later on our own Indian writers through their writings. That's what feminism has begun. This Palace of Illusion also, Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni has to be mentioned that all these things and the oath which was taken by Draupadi. And now the recent days writers Anand Neelakandan. Yes, already I have told you we never go for or pit and fall for only one comparison or what we have seen in the picture, what we have read, only one writer, what is their influence. We have to compare and contrast. As we know that Duryodhana is the evil character to everybody, he is the negative one, negative all the times. But there is a writer called Anand Neelakanta. So he has written a novel called Ajaya. In that case, he has to mention that Duryodhana is the positive character. Actually, he is the hero in that book. Entire book describes his good qualities. Yes, we may be, we are not aware of it, or else few of them may be aware of all these things. But as per Anand Neelakantan's portrayal or the narration, Duryodhana is about the hero to the epic of Mahabharata. Whether we have to accept it or not, but his point of view. So viewpoint is something different from point of view. So for this Anand Neelakanta's narration, Duryodhana was travelled in Kerala side during the exile of Pandavas for 12 plus 1 years of exile. So in that case, he was in a hurry to search the Pandavas. To identify that Pandavas means definitely they have to get back another 12 years plus 1 years of Ajnanavasa. So that he has to be searched in the case of Pandavas. When he come across the Kerala, he was very thirsty, so that he was asked a woman who is taking water from the pond. He was asked, "Dear lady, could you please give me some water from your pond because I'm very thirsty." That particular lady is refused to give the water to him. We never usually refuse one who is asking us water, but this particular lady has refused. In that case, that Duryodhana has not never get angered for that particular lady. Instead of that, he has to be think over it. Why this particular lady is refused to give me some water? It seems I have not asked anything. I'm nothing more than that. I'm just asking the water. But this lady doesn't open her mouth, and she just left a few more steps forward. And then Duryodhana stopped that lady and asked what is the reason not to give the water to her. So that she just explained that she belonged to the untouchable community and you look like a prince. So I cannot able to give you the water in my own pot. I'm sorry. So this is the case. Duryodhana has come to understand that even water is more important than to abolish this type of the untouchability at the time of his hurdle. So he has informed that particular lady that okay, fine, you just give me some water. I'm not going to be part of it, this untouchable and all other things. I need some water. For this, he has to get the pot from that particular lady. Literally, he was dragged that pot and he has to take in some water from the pot and seeds. So this shows his attitude that that particular lady feels that he may be the god to the entire community. So he was introduced by that particular lady to all the community people, and they have raised some temple for Duryodhana also. There is a village in Kerala, I forgot the name of the village, but there is a temple especially for Duryodhana's this particular attitude. So we have to look as well as compare and contrast this particular characters before we come to the judgment of it. And the another writer called again Anand Neelakantan, he has written Shaguni, the master of dice. Yes, of course, without Shaguni, Mahabharata cannot be the interesting one. Like in Ramayana, there is a pony. So these are all two compare and contrasted characters for their genders, but not their plot knitting. For this master of dice, he has to use so many things. We have seen in Mahabharata episodes how he has to be planned for that, and how the Pitamaha has tried to stop all these things, and how he has to overcome plot after plot and knitting some sort of the evil deeds and finally executing all other things. Everything we know that in that master of dice there is a reference that everybody knows. Shaguni is having that father's backbone as the dice. And one more reference is there. He is having the father's thigh bone. Thigh's bone is becoming a dice. So this has to be go for the research that whether it is the backbone or as the thigh bone. So these are all some small contradictions between the writers we need to go for in the search process. And the next writer in Indian writing, Kavita came. She is the famous writer at present. She has written the Fisher Queen Dynasty. In this particular work completely, she has to be sacrifice the life of Satyavati. The first Mahabharata episode begins with, because of Satyavati only it has to be goes by entire Kurukshetra, because her desire leads everything as a disaster. She was asked that Shantanu Maharaja, her own children has to be in the throne, not the Gangaputra Vidyamahar Bhishma. So this has to be the first seed to grow as well as to go like an anything, and finally it ends with the Kurukshetra. So for this, another work she has written as Karna's wife. Yes, of course, Vrishali is one of Karna's wife. So it has to be narrate the entire life of Karna's wife, how she has to be trapped with Dharma as well as Adharma. So many times she has to be informed Karna to left out from Duryodhana, and most of the time she was confused with the attitude of Karna, as well as she is having the comparison with the qualities of Pandavas as well as this Karna. She is always in the contradictions as well as the dilemma. She never come to the conclusion until the death of Karna, because Kunti has to reveal that he is the first son of all the other five Pandavas. Still that she was in the dilemma. This particular dilemma is beautifully carried by Kavita Keynes. Each and every situation when she has to come across with that, she has to be a beloved wife of Karna. She never shows any anger instead of love towards to Karna. Another one is Sita's sister. It is about Urmila and other sisters, which is in Ramayana. And one more writing she has written, Kavita Keynes, it's about Subhadra. We all know about the Subhadra character is only a very submissive as well as very passive as well as a very mischievous character. She is identified with that Krishna's sister as well as the mother of Abhimanyu, so that she has to be identified only that particular thing. But in reality, she is the best warrior of entire Mahabharata. Even we never knows that in the introductory part of the Kunti, she has to stop to kill the deers. Along with her companion, she wanted to roaming the forest. She is also the best archery. And likewise, Subhadra has participated so many wars, but it has been hidden in that visual adaptations of Mahabharata, which is projecting in Vijay TV. But it has the separate book, The Life of Subhadra, Krishna's sister. In that, we have to sit and read. We need to get so many references that she was participated, how many wars, and she has killed so many warriors, and how she has to be learned everything. So these are all the compare and the contrast of the writings as well as the visual adaptations of that. And next writer in our literature is Devadat Patnaik. As I have mentioned very early of the opening this session, he is the complete charm. He has written each and every character separately as a book, and he has written Mahabharata for children separately. As well as he has to focus on so many characters like Pidamaha Bhishma is a separate literary work, and Drona is completely literary separate work, and he has to focus on each and every character through his idea of mythology. And he has written a work called Ramayana versus Mahabharata, his playful comparison. If anybody is interested, to please read that. And the next writer is in literature is Vamsi Krishna. I do not know how many people are aware of that. This Vamsi Krishna has written India's first daughter, as we have discussed, as Draupadi. In this particular India's first daughter, it talks about the fire-born princess, how she has been born in the fire because of the rituals which was done by Durvada. And what may be the contradictions between Durvada and Draupadi, and later how it has been solved with the help of Lord Krishna. And she has to know the birth secret. Why? What is the reason behind her birth secret? That may be the first question which was asked with Draupadi to Krishna. Why Krishna? Why Govind? she never mentioned that Krishna as Krishna. She used to call it as Govind. Govind, what is the purpose of my life? Why I have to be here on this earth? Please let me know. Every time she was asking, Krishna has to be addressed that you will get to know very soon the reason of your birth. Before the Kurukshetra, there is a conversation between Krishna and Draupadi. He has to reveal that you are asking me so many times, what is the purpose of my birth? What is the purpose of my birth? But this is the purpose of your birth, to establish the Dharma in the name of you. You are just a tool. Don't worry what has done by you, what was done by yourself for others. Please do not worry about it. It is all already planned. Don't be afraid of it, Panchali. You are just a tool to lead this Kurukshetra. So all these things which was dealt in India's first daughter. And another writer is Saraswati Nagpal. She may not be the familiar writer, but she has to be written the Fireborn Princess Draupadi. The name of the work is called Draupadi, the Fireborn Princess. In that case, she has to narrate the travel from Earth to Svargaloka, the final destination of the five Pandavas along with the Draupadi to reach the heaven, who is going to be reach the heaven. And in that case, while they are traveling, they have to think about what was happened their entire life. One by one, they have to died in that particular journey. And finally, Yudhishthira has to be reached in the heaven along with that particular dog, which is very loyal to him. As well as why this particular work has been discussed, that why Draupadi has to be loved more Arjuna than other four husbands. It has some sort of the love between Arjuna as well as the Draupadi, because she was influenced by Lord Krishna that Arjuna is the only skilled warrior to win over the world. That is the only word which was influenced by Draupadi to have more affection on Arjuna. So that may be the one of the reasons she may have some qualities, she may have some comparisons with Yudhishthira, Bhima, Nakul and Sahadeva more than that in Arjuna. So madam, next slide please. So what are the key impacts? What is the thing why we need to be here to learn everything? All this time I have been mentioned some of the writers, what they have written and what may influence them to choose the characters, to choose the situation. Even the fictional character itself, how they have to connect the incidents with their own writings. The key impact for this, it has been having an influence to writing as well as to establish some techniques larger than the life of the characters. Even sometimes we need to have these examples in our everyday life. Very technically, or else unfortunately we have to mention that somebody has to be playing with you, don't be naughty like. And we have to be mentioned that you wanted to be look like Queen Elizabeth as well as Queen Victoria. So these are all the examples. So that we have to drag some examples from that narratives also. If somebody is having very skilled, means what we have to mention that he may be learned from Guru Drona, so that she or he thought of that disciple of Drona. So still we need to have certain characters from epics to connect the incidents, at least an example for that. So that is the influence of epics in Indian literature. We are very much binded with that. Without that, we cannot go for it. And Indian epics serve as an inspiration. Absolutely, we have to teach the students you should become like Arjuna, a warrior. He's a very skilled warrior in every martial art, so that you wanted to be Arjuna. Yes, of course, we have to give the advice for the children. And as the teachers, we need to have some sort of the idea, at least we have to receive. One day I will receive that Drona award. Why we wanted to be the excellence? Because we are inspired by that particular character, even the praising of that character era by era. So that may be the key impact, and we have been influenced our day-to-day life. Next slide, please, ma'am. Yes, influence on Indian literature. All this time I have influenced that what are all the writers and how they have get all these things. And these are all some ideas which I have taken it from how the translations has been done from Sanskrit as well as Marathi and Bengali. After that, it has to be reached that English as well as the Tamil and all other regional languages. And it's more or like Tagore's Gitanjali. It has been written in the form of Bengali language as well as, and later it has been translated. So this is about the influence on Indian literature, even in the writings of the writers, as the readers, as well as the common people also. So, madam, next slide. Yes, influence of Ramayana. We have to teach the children that how the brothers has to be unitedly, and you must be very humble. You must be very obedient to your father. You have to be obey all the words by your father like Ram. Yes, we never tell that you have to obey your parents' words, not compare with Ram. Because Ram is the only obedient boy in our epic. After that, this Ramayana it talks about that moksha and all other things. Even the Mahabharata is also talks about that moksha. These are all having certain thing. How we have to be perform our duty and how we have to be obedient as well as we should not make any harm to the society and we should not influence in a wrong way. So that is also one of the criteria which the epics has been informed as you have to follow the right things but not in the wrong way. Next slide please ma'am. So this is the continuation of it. If possible, the organizer will forwarded this slides also. When you have the time, you just read for this. Next one. This Ramayana as well as Mahabharata, how it has been influenced. Next. Next one. Yes, universal thing. The beauty of Indian epics is always lies their universality. As we know that it has a deeply rooted in Indian culture. We have to wear the sari, especially when we are attending the function. That is also it reflects our culture. And the exploration of love. It has two. These two epics has to teach us as dignity as well as the morality, how to lead our life, not to betray others, especially in the form of love, war, loyalty, sacrifice, as well as especially in the family. If you look at these two epics, Ramayana and Mahabharata, it has been influenced among the family members, not to betray one to one, even with your brothers or cousin brothers. And everything has its own limitations as well as it has to certain things has to be followed. Even it is the law, we have to follow the dignity over it. Even it is the war, we have to be very open-minded to whom we have to be war against. A strong has to be war against the strong, a weak has to be war against the weak one. There is no more betrayal between these things, no cheating, nothing at all, and you must be always loyal to your people. This Ramayana as well as this Mahabharata, which always focusing on the center point of the people who is living in that particular under the rule. Whether it may be the Indraprastha or Hastinapura in Mahabharata, even in Ramayana, it may be the Ayodhi. The central characters are not at all Ram or Ram's brother or Sita and nothing at all. Here it is Mahabharata, it is between the brothers, the central characters or the people who is in that, so they have to maintain their own loyalty as well as the sacrifice for that. There are different cultures may change, ages may change, but these epics are timeless. Next slide. So for this, the conclusion of this session is about to teach the principles of dharma as well as karma, the values of loyalty, and what we have to give, we have to get it back. That is the relevance to today's scenario also. We have to teach the students in a very good manner. Our own generation will get the good education. If we are not at all teaching them in a proper manner, our own generation is going to be learned from them, because one of our own students may become the teacher for that particular place. Our own generation has to be the student for them. So this is just an example to make to understand that we have to follow the dharma as well as we need to go for our own values. When we started, when we are in a position of teacher, we have to be follow this, and we have to be as a writer or most of them speakers, means we have to follow certain quality as well as the values. Before we projecting something, we need to go for the research first. We need to have the habit of compare as well as contrast, why these writings are different from one to one, where they get all these references, what is the difference in that, what makes them to differ the situation, whether it may be the writer's point of view, they have the written as per this particular 21st century, or as the reader's point of view, they may have been projecting. Whether we are very projecting it or not, we have to be follow certain ethics before we have to start anything. So that is the good quality which I have learned it from all these epics as well as the translations which was done by the writers, and as well as whenever I started reading these writings, I just have the comparison of where this particular writer has taken this particular name of the character itself, where it has been influenced. So I need to search for the interviews of the writers as well as the fellow writers who is belonging to the same category. We call it as the contemporary writers. So all these things we need to go for the research as well as the references. Maybe future scholars are here and currently doing your PhD scholars are here. Kindly go through the findings, compare and contrast. Don't go for the conclusion of what is the writer you have chosen, because writer's point of view is something different from the reader. As a reader, we have to sit and read something. We need to have so many ideas and we need to have some comparison and contrast. This particular situation I have read already. Where I have it read already. So you need to compare and contrast when it was written and which where has been written and what is the age difference between these particular two writers, why they have to be chosen like this. So we need to go for the research as well as the references. If something is different from your point of view as well as the situation what you have visualized in the adaptations, and you need to go for some references as well as research for that, nothing wrong in that. And I forgot to tell you one adaptation is done by Jane Austen, the British literature writer. Her Pride and Prejudice, everybody is known about that, and it has so many adaptations, even in the movie format, as well as 100 plus adaptations are available in the name of Pride and Prejudice. It has been have a variety of themes as well as implementation of new era of theories like it. Basically, Pride and Prejudice is considered as a domestic novel, parents who wanted to get married of the 5 daughters, that may be the common theme, but the adaptations is talking about something different. One adaptation is talking about LGBTQ issue, another adaptation is talking about some chick lit literature, because it has to be focused on postmodernism. So kindly go through all these things and always have in touch with their new beginnings. Please have the habit of reading something, after that you go for the visualize something. Once they started visualize something, you stop reading and you people never be aware of what is actually written and what is actually projected in the form of adaptations. So my kind, it is not an advice for you people because you are all scholars as well as the prefaces. I'm not advising anybody. My request before for this platform, those who are attending this session, kindly go through for reading so many things. Thank you all. If you have any questions, kindly raise your questions. I'm ready to answer that. Any questions from audience side? I'm receiving your messages one by one. Thank you so much for your feedback.
Dear participants, if you have any queries, feel free to ask. Okay. Thank you everyone for attending Importance of Ethics in Indian Literature. We hope you found this session valuable. We register our sincere thanks to Dr. M. Narmata Madam for the fruitful session. We also thank participants of the seminar who made it success. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, ma'am.
So we are in the end of the position. I am in a position to thank for the organizer for the PROGREZZ Academy. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to meet all these people from various places in a single platform. Thank you very much, and thanks for your suggestions as well as the messages which what I am receiving in the screen. Thank you very much. I will meet you some other session once again in this platform. Thank you very much for the organizers and thank you for the participants. Thank you all.